Greetings, Scribblers! Kent Sean here, and today I bring you a progress update on my 2020 writing goals and put out the fires of some burning subscriber questions. But before we get into it, please don't forget to like, subscribe, and ring the notification bell so you don't miss one shingle in our leaky writing rooftop. 2020 has been a big year for us here at the Kent Sean YouTube channel. The plan was to edit and release my novella Blind Spot and write, edit, market, and self-publish my debut novel, Charged. I was also toying around with the idea of recording and releasing a serialized audiobook version of Blind Spot. My plan was to release the serial audiobook, one chapter per week, and give it away for free. At first, it looked like I might have bit off more than I could chew while trying to work full-time, be a full-time college student, and a full-time dad. Somehow, we're ahead of schedule. I'm proud to announce that on April 11th, 3 weeks ahead of my deadline, I wrote the end on my science fiction action novel, Charged. I'm now hard at work editing my supernatural thriller, Blind Spot, and plan to have it out to betas in the next 60 days. If you would like to be a beta reader, please feel free to leave me a comment, DM me on Instagram, or tweet in my general direction. The only change to my writing goals for 2020 is perhaps to give myself a bit more time to execute the plan. I've never worked with cover designers, editors, and the like, and I really don't want to rush to failure. Blind Spot will be released first with a weekly serial audiobook soon to follow. Charged is a big book. It'll probably come in around 100,000 words after the editorial process, and I really don't want to rush the edits. Hopefully, the experience I gain shoving Blind Spot out into the world will keep me from totally screwing up Charged. If there's anybody out there in the community with tips as I start looking for editors and designers, please let me know. I'm kind of dumb.
That's not true. You're intellectually challenged.
Thanks, Angie. So look out for at least one Kent Sean book in 2020 and one fast on its heels. Next up, we go to the interwebs for subscriber questions. There were more than I could get to, so if your question did not get answered, stay tuned. You might be featured in a future video. Lucky you. Question number 1 is from talented writer and editor Bethany Voto. Voto. Last name starts with a V. Bethany writes, are you an overwriter or an underwriter?
Over. I'm under.
Well, Bethany V, I am a classic overwriter. I have to set word count limits on scenes, acts, and the entire story, or I get myself in a lot of trouble. My first 2 novels came out at about 500,000 words between the two. This was the result of pure discovery writing and the fact that I like to add a couple new characters every chapter, each with their own arcs and plot lines that I feel compelled to complete. I call this condition the Martin Jordan syndrome. Old Georgie Martin and Robbie Jordan, both amazing fantasy writers, tend to drag us away from the main story with new characters that they have clearly fallen in love with, until George kills them. It's tough love. Maybe I should start a support group for the Martin Jordan syndrome. When you come to a meeting, you have to stand up in front of your peers and delete at least one character from your manuscript.
You can do it. Press delete. I can't!
I have vastly improved my Martin Jordan syndrome by writing with a loose outline, using word count constraints and other limiting factors to keep me from wandering off into the literary wilderness, never to return. That was a run-on sentence. And I liked it. I planned my last novel, Charged, at about 120k words and came in at 111k. This was a major victory for me. My advice to overwriters, set limits on yourself. You'll be forced to get to the point, and it'll save you a lot of time later. Question number 2 from aspiring fantasy author Jared Simmons. Jared writes, how do you come up with story ideas that are not a cliche or an overdone trope? Bonus question, do you do eyebrow exercises or what? Smart ass. For Jared's first question on how to come up with a story idea that's not a cliche or trope. You don't. Just kidding. But only kinda. Jared, there are about 130 million published books in the world right now. Believe me, I looked it up. The odds of you coming up with something that's never been tried before are...
Not good, Jared. Not good.
To make it even more impossible to be original, every genre has expectations built right into it. Try writing a love story without the proof of love or first kiss scene. Try writing an action story without the hero at the mercy of the villain scene. Go ahead. I dare ya. You will piss off genre fans so bad that they're more likely to ask for a colonoscopy by Roto-Rooter than they are to buy your next book. When it's time for the first kiss in your love story, don't try to be original by leaving it out. Instead, innovate within the genre expectations. Look for a fresh perspective, a narrative device, or original setting to make that scene unique. Nobody said this was going to be easy. Make sure you're reading a lot in your genre to see what kind of stories are out there. Not only is reading a lot good for your writing, it'll help keep your finger on the pulse of what your genre's fans are responding to, and keep you from spewing out the same drivel that no one is reading.
What about the eyebrows?
Lay off the eyebrows, bro. Question number 3 from aspiring author Don White. Don writes, how do you overcome imposter syndrome? I'm struggling with that on a regular basis. It gets to the point where I won't write for weeks on end. Okay, Don, time for some tough love. Put on your bulletproof skin, brother. Imposter syndrome is the feeling that you might not have what it takes to write good stories. Imposter syndrome, like writer's block, procrastination, and all other excuses not to write, is simply a case of fear overcoming our will. Hey, it's understandable to experience some fear when you're getting started as an author. You're starting from the ground floor with no guarantee that you'll ever succeed, plus writing takes a ton of time. And when you finally let someone read that story you have poured your heart into, the response you typically get is,
This sucks.
Scribbler, you gotta write tens of thousands of bad words before you can get to the good words. The odds are the first few stories you write are really gonna stink.
Great job, Dad. You made writing sound like a suckfest.
Don, for you and anyone else out there just starting your writer's journey, the only way to get past imposter syndrome is to write. The real imposters are the ones that talk about writing all the time and then never write anything. Someone getting their writing done is not an imposter. They're a writer.
Word.
Don, there will be days you feel like all you do is drop literary stink bombs. But if you've got the guts to keep at it, paragraph by paragraph, line by line, you will get better. The only way to get there is one word at a time. So there you have it, an update on my 2020 goals and a little Q&A. Richard Holiday also had a compelling question, which was so good, it's getting its own video. So stand by, Richard, for my take on outlining. Also, to all you short story masters out there, submissions are open to the awe-inspiring, cup-destroying, pencil-snapping, pen-draining, head-balding, metaphor-mending, sentence-spewing, cash reward-reaping short story competition. Authortube! Link to the video with all the details will be in the description. Scribblers, stay tuned this Saturday at 6 Mountain Time for a live writing discussion featuring the funny, deadly, bearded writing machine, DR Ranger Writing, the accomplished author and editor, Bethany, and the scary talented artist and writer, Z Falk. If you ain't subscribed to these fine folks, well, tell them, Bat James.
Subscribe to them now!
Our live stream discussion will be all about starting as a writer from scratch. We'll talk all about coming up with interesting story ideas, fascinating characters, and building your writing habit. Thanks for watching. Please don't forget to like, subscribe, and ring the notification bell. You can follow me on Instagram or Twitter, and please come visit my website, kentshawn.com. Till next time, Scribblers, butts in seats, fingers on keyboards.
The tar.